Back to Josh Rogers.
All right, let's turn to the top of the ticket. Congressman Ginta, you've been steadfast in supporting Donald Trump. You've appeared at events with him. When Mr. Trump's 2005 comments about groping women emerged, you called the comments, quote, entirely unacceptable, but you didn't rescind your support. As a father of young children, how do you explain to them that you still hope Donald Trump becomes president?
You know, I condemn comments that are made by any presidential candidate that I feel are inappropriate. And my wife, Morgan, and I talk with our children about their conduct and how we feel that they should conduct themselves and the kind of example that we want to set for them. That's what good parents do. The reality is in this presidential campaign, the country has a binary choice between Mr. Trump or Secretary Clinton. Just today, these are now even more serious allegations that up to 5 different international communities were able to hack her server of classified information. That is a serious problem that she's going to have to address between now and Tuesday, and as well as beyond. But when it comes down to public policy, I believe that Mr. Trump is going to focus more so on growing the economy, shrinking the size and scope of government, putting people first, rather than what you're seeing from Secretary Clinton and the new revelations this last week.
Representative Shea Porter, you endorsed Hillary Clinton for president and have called her honest and trustworthy. As Congressman Ginta indicates, the FBI is obviously looking at her emails again. Do you still believe Hillary Clinton is honest and trustworthy? And if she's elected, do you think these scandals will plague her and limit her effectiveness as a president?
Well, let's first talk about, that was a nice pivot, Frank. That was very, very good pivot.
Thank you.
When you were asked a question. And I wanted to point out that neither one of these men ever spoke up when Donald Trump was talking about women that way. Neither one of these men ever spoke up when he was talking about people with disabilities and mocking them. Neither one of these men ever spoke up on any of the attacks that we have seen. So it's a little late. So if you're going to try to say anything now, people know that you didn't say anything. Real political leadership and courage is speaking up at the time. So I'm going to the question now. I spoke out against Donald Trump, and what I said about Hillary Clinton still stands, that I do trust her, but she made a mistake. She said she made a mistake. Now, right now, what he's talking about, we have watched the FBI, unprecedented action within 10 days of an election. And Republicans and Democrats alike are saying this is absolutely outrageous. They're just doing this kind of spilling this stuff without giving anybody any information about this. And it is very, very disturbing. And I have read what the right wing has said.
Politically motivated?
Pardon?
Do you believe Director Comey has political motivations?
You know, I can't speak for him. I've never spoken to him, so I can't speak for him. But I can say that most of the attorney generals of this country have said it was wrong. And conservative Republicans have said this was outrageous and unfair.
Thank you, Congressman. Back to Josh Rogers.
I was invoked, so I would just love to respond quickly. First of all, this is Secretary Clinton's own doing, not the FBI director's. This is her own doing, and you refuse to stand up to her in serious allegations when 5 different international countries have now been able to hack her server and obtain classified information. That is a serious threat to national security, and you refuse to call it anything other than a simple mistake. That is wrong.
You actually really don't know, and neither do I. But what we do know is that Donald Trump has said things like a love of war. Donald Trump, we've heard all these leaders say his fingers should not be anywhere near the nuclear weapons. Max Boot, who I saw many times in Armed Services
We're going to be going in round of circles here for a while. Let's get back to Josh.
As an independent, who do you support for president, and why do you support them?
Yeah, I have a lot of concerns, as I think a lot of Americans do, about both of the major candidates for president. And so I'm going to continue to study the information that, as both of my opponents have pointed out, continues to come out about both of the candidates. And like a lot of American voters, there's a lot of undecideds. I'm one of them, and I'm going to make a game time decision because, I'm going to work with whomever the president is. Whoever the American people elect, I'm going to work with because we've had too much partisan gridlock.
Towards one or the other at this point?
No, not. I mean, I have concerns about both of them, and I want to understand as much as I can and get as much information as I can before I make a decision. Honesty is something that's really important to me, and that's why I supported Bernie Sanders in the primary. Not because I agreed with him on a lot of policy issues. I've worked for Republicans, I've worked for Democrats, but honesty is important to me. Civility is important to me. I believe he demonstrated
assuming you voted here in 2014. Which one of these two did you vote for in the 1st District?
Well, we know that in 2014 I was a registered Democrat, and so I voted for Ms. Shea Porter.
That was a good choice.
Well, you had
Very
a
good choice.
great pivot on the
And you
last
have-
question.
and you
The
have a chance
reality,
to do it
though,
again.
is Mr. O'Connor is a Democrat. He supported Bernie Sanders. He just said he is a Democrat. The only reason he is on this stage today is because how he was treated
You'll get 30
by the leadership of the New Hampshire Democratic Party and Miss Shea Porter. Otherwise, he would have been in the Democratic primary. People need to understand and appreciate that he is not this true independent. That is disingenuous. He just said he's a Democrat. He votes Democrat. He endorsed and supported Bernie Sanders. There is a clear choice in this campaign and in this race between the three of us.
I've
Take
been
30 seconds to
invoked.
respond. He was invoked
I was
first.
invoked.
We're going to move.
I was.
Your name was mentioned. It's not quite
Okay.
the same. Go ahead.
Yeah, so first, I worked for a Republican member of Congress for 4 years. I was elected to the Republican National Convention as a delegate in 1996. So to suggest that I am a lifelong Democrat is an absolute mischaracterization. I have voted as recently as 2014 for members of both parties.
Which Republican did you vote for?
Oh, so now we're going to go through my entire voting record. I'd love to, know both of your private voting records for the last 20 years.
You are a Republican. I'm going to back you up on that.
I mean, you see, this is great. I am a true
I have to
moderate because
say,
they're both trying to
thought-
put me into a slot.
No. I thought he was a Bernie-crat. He was trying to run to the left of me. He was talking about that Bernie needed an army down there, and
Congressman.
you ran very hard with Bernie. But then you realized you couldn't
Okay.
beat me, so you switched over to his party, and
All
that's
right.
okay.
Okay. Let's lighten it up a little bit.